Pacers absolutely crushed in Game 3. Tyrese Haliburton's first ever home playoff loss. He was not good enough. The Pacers were not good enough. Their rebounding was terrible. Another zone defense shut them down. Only like one or two things went well, and they've got some stuff to figure out for Game 4. We'll get to all of it today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, y'all? Happy Saturday/weekend, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today, still in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, it's almost 1 a.m., and the Pacers got their butts kicked in this building. It was no other way to put it. Their first quarter was okay. They were tied at the end of it after a slow start. They clawed their way back. Their second quarter sucked, and they never got back into it. In the end, a almost 20-point loss on the nose, 126-104. The final score, 22-point deficit for the Pacers, who had some very clear, huge issues in this game. A zone defense problem. Again, I feel like we talked about that too many times this year. Rebounding was a mess. Their slow start was very tough to overcome, even though they did. But if that didn't happen at all, they would have been in it late. And yet the story of the game has to be the difference in the stars in this one. I mean, they've talked about this a lot this week. Stopping Donovan Mitchell is something they need to do better at. It's very obvious. It's not easy to do. If you could just stop Donovan Mitchell, every team would do it. Donovan Mitchell, 29 shot attempts, 14 free throws attempted, 43 points, 9 boards, 5 assists, 5 offensive rebounds, led the game, tied with Evan Mobley, who also had 5. The Pacers had 4 offensive rebounds as a team. There was a will/want factor from Donovan Mitchell that was not there for the Pacers at all. As mentioned post-game by Pascal Siakam, they got outfought in the game. Obviously, the Mitchell part of this is a big deal. I don't want to just skip past it. We'll come back to his 43 points. I don't know that they can just air quotes stop him easily. Same the thing with Giannis in the first round. But the juxtaposition is what makes this so jarring. Tyrese Haliburton, who closed out the last game very well with an iconic shot for his career, who did the same thing in the first round, an iconic moment of his career, right? His last game, 7 for 11 for 19 points, 22 points in game 1, 26 and 9 in the final game of the Milwaukee series, 7 double-doubles the 2 games before that, right? Has had good games in the playoffs, a double-double to open this series, right? Has not had a stinker like he did to start the series last year. This was probably his worst playoff game in a Pacers uniform. His first home loss, 4 points from Tyrese Haliburton. That does not cut it. 2 for 8, 1 3. In a lot of games, I would look at this and go, oh, he had 7 twos. That's good. That's good for his correct level of aggression. But the Cavs are almost baiting him into these moments. He only has 5 assists, and the Pacers didn't shoot it great, but he didn't move the ball very well. It feels like they're almost trying to force him to not be a distributor because he's not killing them with the scoring. That just this flat out, this just can't happen. A star player has to be better than that. And he has been in this playoffs, which is why everybody knows he can do it. He has done it, but he didn't in this game. He couldn't get to his spots. He couldn't get going. Now, here's what I will say. It's so easy to just say he stunk. That's it. He's got to be better. Find a fire within you, innate stuff. If you look at the game, in some ways, there were possessions where Dean Wade or DeAndre Hunter at times or other Cavs players were literally face guarding Tyrese Haliburton at any point across half court, right? Not letting him move any direction to get a handoff or to get going towards the rim or handle the ball very well, right? So on one hand, I understand on those possessions, the inkling from the Pacers say, oh, good, 4-on-4. We have other good players. Andrew Nembhard's had double-digit assists in the series. Pascal Siakam in the regular season, showed he could score against the Cavs in the fourth quarter today, but he was a very slow starter. Myles Turner's been good in the series. He started the game off very well with 10 points. The Pacers' first 10 points. Aaron Nesmith's been good in this playoffs. Like, they have other guys who can make decisions. McConnell's had some nice decision-making moments off the bench. Mathurin's having the best 6-quarter run of his postseason career so far. They have other guys who, in theory, have stepped up enough that I just gave the rosy outlook on them, to be clear. I'm not saying all of them played well tonight, but I give the rosy outlook to say that's why if they're the Pacers, they have confidence that, if Tyrese Haliburton's being face guarded 30 feet from the basket, these guys can play 4-on-4 and do something for us, right? That sounds appealing. Lots of space for good players. Tyrese Haliburton is the best creator on the Pacers, not only for other players, which is obviously true, he's a very good passer, but also for himself. Not his best strength, obviously, but Tyrese Haliburton's self-created shots are generally very efficient. When he can get to the rim like he has in the last couple playoff games before today, when he's getting to floaters that he likes, when he can get to the step back three often, he looks lethal from a scoring perspective. None of that happened tonight. He could not wiggle free at all. He wasn't getting the floater to fall. His shot chart tells a lot of the story of this game. 7 twos sounds great. He's got to get at more than 1 3. It's very rare that a Tyrese Haliburton game ends with wow, he is the guy who has to find ways to get open from 3. That is usually, it's over-indexing that. And the other telling part of this, only 1 shot on the right side of the court. Teams want him to go left. He's worse from that side, and he couldn't finish over there today. 2 makes in the paint, a miss from the left wing from 3, and then 4 misses in floater range. Like, he just has to find a way to get deeper into the paint or to set up his teammates in the paint so that there has to be an adjustment from the defense or to get his 3-ball going. I get that it's easy to say, just find a way to do it. Donovan Mitchell just found a way to do it. Donovan Mitchell, every time he saw a double team, he pounded right through it. He gets to the rim. He's impossible to contain with just one player. I might consider putting Aaron Nesmith on Donovan Mitchell in the next game. Like, that's not Tyrese's game, for better or worse. At times better, at times worse. Tonight was the worst, and they have to find a way with actions, with Haliburton summoning something. He just has to be better than that, right? The whole game is all the stuff I'm about to say after this that will stand out to me as themes of the game. They all matter, right? The Pacers lost for a million reasons in this game. But Ty just has to be better, and I think he would be the first to admit it. We did not get to talk to him post-game. But I would imagine he'd be tomorrow if we do talk to him, he'll be the first to say, I've got to be better. I've got to figure it out. They'll talk about it as a team. They'll look at the film because that can't happen, right? It has to be either he gets more shots up and tries it, and if it's not there, he's distributing. Like, he took 8 shots. 2 starters took 7. Nembhard took 9. Siakam took 14. The bench guys were taking more shots. Like, he just has to be better than that. And the juxtaposition between him and the Cavs star, who the Pacers have to figure out how to stop, whether it's, like I said, putting Nesmith on him, whether it's doubling him higher up, so if he splits the double, help could still come, whatever. Look, the Cavs offense is awesome. It's scary to double team against the Cavs. They did well in 4-on-4 settings today. So the Pacers just they have to narrow that gap in general between the Mitchell and Haliburton effectiveness, but Tyrese Haliburton just has to be better than that, right? That was his worst postseason game this season, maybe ever. I mean, the ones in game 1s last year felt worse for some reason than this one to me because a lot went wrong today. But that is where I think this game starts, is their star being better. However, I think so many micro things are bad in this game that they will dominate stories in my own head in terms of Haliburton can be, I mean, if he's that bad, they'll struggle, but Haliburton can be less effective than his best, but they could still win if they're better at this or that or this or that. Let's run through some of those things. Number 1, welcome back. Pacers zone struggles. It feels like this has been a thing for forever. The Bucks went zone in the first round. Lots of teams went zone against the Pacers bench in the regular season. The bench part, I understand. I wrote this in my story, why teams go zone against them so much. To me, a big part of it is the zone doesn't have consistent shooters or guys that defenses are afraid of. So they go zone, force them to drive. TJ McConnell adjusted to it well in the first round. He was making those running little shots in the paint. They got more from various guys to beat it. Right? They got better against zone after the Bucks kind of panched them with his own defense in late December. Still not great. Still like between like the 15th and 20th best team against zone. The Cavs today go 3-2 zone, right? And you go zone because your man isn't good enough, right? Their switching hasn't been good enough to stop the Pacers this series. Jared Allen's gotten put on an island. It had some trouble throughout this series. Sometimes when smalls are on bigs, the Pacers have had success there, at least gotten good shots, even if they're not going in, right? That they don't want to do that all the time. The zone, even against starters, which is always very telling to me when teams are willing to do it against lineups that don't just have TJ McConnell running the show. The Cavs went to it a lot. Every quarter of this game, at some point, I said, "Oh, there it is again. There it is again." It's the snowball. I guarantee this gets annoying to hear me talk about if you listen to the show all the time, but the snowball hits the Pacers hard because of their specific strengths. Opposing team sets up zone. Said zone defense gets a stop. That team is now playing in transition or playing with mismatches or cross matches or whatever because of said transition chance. And so they score easier. And because they scored, they can set their zone. Bada bing, bada boom. It keeps going. The second quarter, that was extremely obvious as the Cavs really blew open this game. But it happened a lot for just like little tiny runs here and there as the Pacers really struggled to break through this 3-2 zone. The snowball happens for other defensive sets too. But like all the stuff that's been troubling for the Cavs. Jared Allen and switches, some smalls on bigs that they don't like. None of those happen if they go zone more often. Like, they don't happen as often if they go zone more often, right? So that was killer for the Pacers. They have got to figure out the zone. part two of it was two returning players were huge. DeAndre Hunter at the top of that zone, he was deadly. He could like shift around to the ball handlers and make it hard to just dive into the middle for easy baskets. The Pacers, I think, need to get a guy not in the middle of the zone. It's not like a 2-3, but just like a little deeper in the paint there to kind of catch and distribute from there. There's only two guys in the baseline. When Hunter's at the top and Mobley's on the baseline's still hard to crack. The other wrinkle was when Mobley was at the top of this zone, oh man, he would go from ball handler to the lane to the guy down low so fast. I've joked all series, it feels like there's two of them, and he was back tonight. It felt like that again. Look, the Cavs are good at this zone. Like they've done it before. You'll hear on the crossover episode with Danny Cunningham, but this is not a new thing for them, actually. They did it a few times in game 1 and 2. I talked about the weird zones after, I believe, the game 1 podcast for the series. But this time it really flummoxed the Pacers. Really flummoxed them. They need answers to that zone because their per possession efficiency was okay in this game. They actually shot a better percentage from the field than the Cavs, but it wasn't good enough. 43.8% is not going to cut it. 9 for 30 from deep is not going to cut it, both in volume and accuracy from long range. And they did not make up for anything close to that in other ways in this game. I thought the zone was a big part of it. Carlisle came into his post-game media. He said, try to answer all your questions before you even answer them. And he almost completely nailed my list of questions, but one of them was about the zone and what was so challenging about it. And so I've seen the Pacers be a good adjusting team for years, right? Last year in the playoffs, this season when things would get hard for them, Tyrese Haliburton throughout his time going through different coverages as a young developing player. I have a lot of confidence that they will look at film whenever they look at film, and they will figure out, here's how we can beat this zone, this, that, these guys, whatever. But it is always something that gucks them up, whether it's because they have to pause and assess what they need to be doing, whether it's because a specific player is having a bad night, whether it's because they don't have a lot of shooting for, whatever the reason. It does happen sometimes, and it happened in this game. If it happens again in game 4, they should be concerned because that suggests this is an actual thing that will give them problems for a series. That zone was a big factor here. So was the possession battle. I just mentioned the Pacers shot a better percentage from the field in a 22-point loss. Hello. We have that and so much more to talk about coming up here on Locked On Pacers. Before we get to any of that, we got to talk about DoorDash. NBA fans, you know what time it is. Playoff season means big performances and even bigger rewards. DoorDash is bringing the heat with a slam dunk deal for DashPass members during the 2025 NBA playoffs. It's called They Swoosh, You Score. Anytime a player drops 50 or more points in a playoff game, DashPass members score a free three-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the very next day. Just place an order of $20 or more. Use the code Wingstop50 at checkout, and that combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, and totally free. Offer is valid noon to midnight the day after a game, and terms apply. If it's your go-to move after an epic game to get food delivered, great. DashPass can help you order your wings and relive the highlights. And if you ever looked at delivery fees and thought, there must be a better way, DashPass is the answer. $0 delivery fees and perks like this one. So here's the play. Sign up for DashPass. Unlock this and more exclusive deals all season long when any player scores 50-plus in a playoff game. Mitchell's been close twice. DashPass members can grab a free three-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20-plus order and code Wingstop50. That's DashPass. Your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms apply. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making this your first listen to Dan every single day. Danny Cunningham, who's literally right there if you're watching on YouTube, recording Locked On Cavs right now. Make that your second listen. He will have the Cavs perspective on their best game of the series. It's 2-1 now. I will offer this perspective before we continue on things the Pacers struggled with. Obviously, the most recent game carries a lot of weight. It's the one that showed the most recent solutions teams came up with in a playoff series. No doubt it means the most right now. However, if you asked anyone with the Pacers, fans of the Pacers, whatever, would you take 2-1 through 3 games? They all would have said yes. Game 4 now critically important. The Cavs stealing home court back would be massive. The Pacers going up 3-1 with another game at home coming would be massive. Game 4 is huge. Game 4 would have been huge either way, but now it's extra huge for the Pacers side to stay ahead in the home court advantage battle. It would be very weird if it was 2-2 with 2 road wins, especially with the health status of the Cavs fluctuating throughout the series. Let's keep going here with a thing that I thought was extremely concerning, rebounding. You guys know if you listen, I am very rarely a rebounding guy as a takeaway from a basketball game. For many reasons, I feel like it's discussed poorly. I won't get into those reasons right now. It is not discussed poorly in this game. Pascal Siakam said it, outfought. 50-50 balls, rebounds. They just got him. We didn't. Tough. Like game 2, I felt like there were a lot of long rebounds the Cavs got. Pacers still need to be better boxing out on those. I'm not excusing that. I'm just saying those ones I at least get how they can stack up. It just like bounces to a guy that there's no way you can get it. In this game, that was not the case. Donovan Mitchell out-efforting with his 5 offensive rebounds. 9 combined for Mobley and Allen, who are around the basket. Those are the effort ones. Those are not the long ones. Just crushed the Pacers. 4 offensive rebounds for the Pacers. 2 from Siakam, 1 from McConnell, 1 from Nesmith. That's it. The final rebounding count in this game, Pacers 37, Cavs 56, plus 19 for the Pacers for the Cavs on the glass in this game. They dominated the boards. Dominated. 9 for Mitchell, 12 for Allen, 13 for Mobley, 7 for Strus. The Pacers were led by 6. No, I got it right the first time. 7 from Nesmith and 6 from McConnell. 3 from Myles Turner. Got to be better, especially if Allen's going crazy. He got hurt in the game. I guess I understand that a little bit. 4 for Siakam. The Pacers just need to be way, way, way better on the glass. They mentioned, part of why I think this is concerning is they mentioned it all week leading up to this game. After game 1 and 2, you can go check my notes if you don't believe me. But you can't check my notes because you can't see them. I can go do it for you and read them to you. An adjustment that players have talked about after game 1. First thing I typed, rebounding and turnovers. Game 2, rebounding must be better. They've said it both games. They know it's been a problem, and it still was in this game to an even more extreme extent. So, look, obviously rebounding possessions are always a big deal. I talked about the possession battle for the Pacers countless times. In this game, all the indicators that would suggest the game would be lopsided in shot attempts, besides rebounding, were pretty even. Free throw attempts, 34 for the Pacers, 37 for the Cavs. Turnovers, 14 for the Cavs, 13 for the Pacers. They come out in the wash, right? Numbers that would influence your field goal attempt number, except for rebounding, where the Cavs got 19 more boards, and that meant they took 20 more shots. The Pacers were 35 for 80. The Cavs were 42 for 100. If you don't want to do math, that means the Pacers shot better from the field. Per possession, their shot attempt conversion rate was higher. But they lost by 22 points because the Cavs made so many more shots. You give them 20 more attempts, they make 7 more. They made more threes with those attempts, and the Cavs still aren't shooting well, under 30% again. They're just going to roll through you. They're such a good offense, you cannot give the Cavs extra chances. You just can't do it. But the Pacers did it. Again, they've really struggled in the possession battle this series. They have to find a way to clean this up. Whether it's getting their turnovers down, it's been a problem every game. Getting to the mid-teens every game. They have to hit the glass harder, whether that's boxing out better, whether that's preventing certain shots so it's easier to get the boards, whether it's the matchups not making it possible because of switches or whatever. They have to rebound better. They just have to. They cannot give this opponent of an offense extra chances. Rebounding, the zone, and Haliburton, 3 things I wrote down as stuff I wanted to ask Rick about post-game. The fourth one was slow starts, the second game in a row. 28-6 run for the Cavs in the middle of the first quarter of game 2. Tonight, similarly, Cavs roll to start this game. The first quarter ends in a tie, but I think it was the Cavs dominated to start it, and then the Pacers clawed back in. Yes, the Cavs started up 16-4 before the Pacers ended up tying at the end of the first quarter. And then the second quarter was just as bad, right? It was tied in the second quarter, and then the Cavs just ran away with it. The Pacers couldn't score at all in times in this first half. Outside of Myles Turner, who had their first 10 points, they really found no consistency. They're down 13 about halfway through the second quarter, and they could never really keep up with the Cavs in that frame. They go down 21 in the final 2 minutes. Ugly quarter on both ends. Ugly start again. This is the second straight game that's been the case. They have to be better to open the action. They just have to. They're digging themselves too big of a hole. They were able to erase it in game 2. It was a huge deal. It was an iconic franchise win. That's great. It doesn't matter. If you keep doing that, eventually the hole's going to be too big. And in this game, it was. They got it closer. It was single digits at times in the second half, but not close enough that it became a game that they could actually get a win in. So that is, to me, the 4 things that stood out as the worst problems for the Pacers. In order, Haliburton, got to be better. Zone defense, they got to crack it. Rebounding, some of that's getting stopped. Some of that's actually hitting the glass. And these slow starts are just killing them. Be ready to go in game 4. 19 minutes in, I have given the Pacers no praise. They don't deserve a lot. They got smoked in a home playoff game. Again, Tyrese Haliburton's first home loss. All my fun stats are gone. They've won 2 road games in a series for the first time as a group. Their home winning streak is over. Their game 3 winning streak is over. It's Haliburton's game 3 winning streak is over. So now it's just a normaler series where the Pacers have an edge and have home court advantage, but the Cavs are recovered from injury and are very good. Game 4 is very, very critical. Some stuff did, in fact, go well in this game. Oh, Myles Turner got hurt. That's also a bad thing I haven't mentioned yet. His ankle is bothering him. He got hurt on the basket over there. He's tried to scoot off the floor. He tried to play a play. The Pacers couldn't intentionally foul. He actually scored on his possession, but he came out of the game, went back to the locker room, finished the game. So I'd assume he'll be maybe okay. But Evan Mobley finished game 1, and he had an ankle injury that kept him out of game 2. So big thing to monitor is Myles Turner's status going forward. We have no idea where this will be. I'm just offering a reference point of Evan Mobley. Let's wrap up with some at least good stuff. Myles Turner's start to the game was fantastic. He had the first, I believe, 10 points for the Pacers. He got to the line 8 times. He made a 3. The ankle injury limited his minutes to only 25. He only took 7 shots at the end. That's misleading because he took 8 free throws, so his actual shooting possession is probably closer to 10 or 11. 15 points was great. The 3 blocks were great. He needs to be better on the glass, but he was one of the only consistent offensive threats for the Pacers in this game. On a night where they were really struggling to find any consistency on that end, Myles Turner actually gave them to him, was an adult in the room to start the game when they were just awful. And Ben Mathurin was terrific as well. Really, really good 6 consecutive quarters from Bennedict Mathurin, who I think was their first sub today for the first time in the playoffs. I will double check the rotation chart I made just now. No, he was not. He was in the last game. He was in one of the first subs. In this one, McConnell came in first, but Garland was back. They changed things up with how they were guarding the backcourt. And then Mathurin came in for Nesmith not long after. He was really good again. This was the second straight very, very good Ben Mathurin outing. 6 for 11, 3 for 8 from deep, 9 free throw attempts. On a night where there was a lot of whistles blown, that suits Bennedict Mathurin well. On his way to 23 points. The on-ball defense has been good this series. The team defense, he obviously needs to lock in there, but I thought he played very well in this game. I thought he was the only consistent scoring threat against the zone, right? When it's very hard to penetrate and get to spots and break them down at all. Someone like Ben Mathurin can be effective. He could also not, but in this case he was, and I'm glad that they stuck with him more than usual because he was one of their most reliable sources of offense. He made quick decisions with the catch and shoots. His ball movement was fairly solid. He deserved the minutes that he got. So after a really good second half of game 2, it feels like Ben Mathurin is turning some sort of playoff corner. Him and Turner were the two I thought most standouting players. Guys had their moments. Like Siakam was very slow to start, but was very good in the fourth quarter. He ends up with 18, 4, and 3 on 8 for 14 shooting, but he started so slow it didn't feel that way. Andrew Nembhard's stats end up looking fine with 10, 4, and 4, but 3 turnovers, 4 fouls, minus 32. 2 techs, one for a delay of game, I think, and one for an actual tech. As he was John. Andrew Nembhard clearly frustrated for long stretches of this game, whether that was at himself or Max Strus or somebody getting on him during the game. He had his moments of not great play in this one. Aaron Nesmith quieter on offense, only 7 points. Like they didn't get enough from those guys. And that's kind of my final point is the inconsistency that they've had throughout this series, right? Have they had anyone who you felt like every quarter of a game has been good in the series? Not really, right? They've had some guys play pretty. Aaron Nesmith maybe in game 2 is good the whole game, but they've had a lot of 1 half, 1 quarter, 1 stretch guys, and they need to be better for lots of stretches. That speaks to the Cavs and their adjustments, but that also speaks to the Pacers and their need to get guys going. You know, Thomas Bryant was very all over the place tonight. They barely played Ben Shepherd. Jarris Walker didn't play till garbage time. Obi Toppin, tough playoffs for Obi Toppin. Not making shots at the rate he needs to, and his defense in the series. I had commented on this before last show and going through adjustments. It's very hard to go Toppin or Bryant. They're not defending very well in the series. And Toppin, when he goes 1 for 7 and 0 for 4 from deep, isn't making up for enough of that. He moved the ball pretty well today. He actually had 5 assists, right? That's still something he's finding the space to get open himself and force a defensive rotation, but he's got to make shots. Like that's been such a big part of his growth with the Pacers. He didn't do it in this game. TJ McConnell, okay with his 7 assists, but he had 2 just gross air balls. He started very slow from a scoring perspective. He finished with 12 and 7 on 9 shots. It's not like he was awful, but certainly got going in the second half after a less good first half. So a lot of consistency issues for this Pacers team. A lot of struggles with zone, again, for this Pacers team. Rebounding's got to be better. Tyrese Haliburton's got to be much better, and they've got to start games better. But they can win this. They're up 2-1. Game 4's at home. Game 6 is here. They win both of those, they win. The Cavs have got to feel good, too. They just kick butt with their guys healthy. More Darius Garland means less Ty Jerome, who's been terrible. Their rotation made sense. They didn't have to play Okoro very much. They found some solutions. Obviously, the Pacers will now be adjusting. And Game 4 will tell everyone everything about the rest of the series. I can't wait. I hope you can either. Tomorrow we'll have a guest. I think I know who it's going to be, but we'll see what their availability is, talking about Game 3 going into Game 4. And then Sunday night, of course, a podcast after Game 4 with me, and then another one with Danny right here on this floor. He's in Indy as well. So thank you guys so much for listening today. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Tony R. Reese. This podcast has a Twitter account. It's at Locked On Pacers. Back tomorrow talking more Pacers Cavs and closer look at Game 3 with the guest. Till then, everybody have a wonderful day.